Well, hey guys, welcome back to the Booth Customs channel. I'm John Mark Booth, and this is my buddy Austin, aka the Goon Prepper. And this is the third part in our series on building or buying custom ARs. So, what have you got for us today, Austin?
So before we get into the question, actually, I feel like there's some clarification. I did not name myself the Goon Prepper. That was Shane.
Shane named him.
Shane named me the Goon Prepper.
So, he actually named my company too.
Oh, really?
No.
It's a little too classy for something that Shane would name.
Yeah. He would have called it Billy Bob's Big Guns or something.
That's more like it.
Yeah, that's Shane we know and love.
Oh, all right. So, part 3. Today's question. What parts benefit the most from upgrading? We kind of hit on this last week, but let's delve into the minutia.
The minutia of it. So the parts that benefit the most from upgrading, in my opinion, again, I'm always going to go back to the most important parts, in my opinion, of the trigger, the bolt carrier group, and the barrel. Now, that being said, which of those three should you upgrade first, in what order? Personal, maybe unpopular opinion, first thing that I would go with is the trigger. And the reason for that is you can get a really decent budget trigger that improves the performance of your AR tremendously, and it doesn't completely break the bank on you the first time. So that's kind of like the gateway part, in my opinion. So I'm going to upgrade the trigger, and then next, beyond that, I would upgrade the barrel. Because if you get, one of the, there's the regular government profile barrels from some budget place, or if you get it stock on your Smith & Wesson M&P,
right?
I mean, it's going to be a fine barrel, and it's going to shoot nice 3-inch groups at 100 yards. But if you're wanting for something a little better than that, you're going to have to upgrade to a better barrel. And that's anything from like a Ballistic Advantage barrel, which are really good, but yet still budget barrels, or Criterion or Wilson Combat or Daniel Defense or something like that. And then thirdly, bolt carrier group. Bolt carrier groups can get expensive, and it doesn't seem like it's doing a lot besides just going back and forth in there. But that's important.
It's important to go back and forth.
It's important. Yeah. You want to get one that has the right finish, that cleans up well, durable steel, and just well made. Well made has a lot to do with the wear and tear. A lesser made part may make the gun shoot and stuff, but then once you get into the wear and tear, it's not going to wear as well as something that was made with a little bit more quality in mind, as opposed to production.
Right.
So that's kind of my thoughts. What do you say?
No, I'm right there with you, and actually in the exact same order, because your bolt carrier group is important, and quality for your bolt carrier group is pretty vital. But you're going to have better results if you upgrade your barrel first.
Yeah.
And then even more so with your trigger.
Right.
Trigger discipline is half the battle most of the time.
Yeah.
You can have a great rifle tricked out, and if you have poor trigger discipline, you're going to be getting those 3-inch groups at 100 yards.
100 yards, yeah.
And so having a good trigger makes it easy to learn good trigger discipline. So, at least from my experience, and
I'll agree, because you compare that Geisley with just a regular mil-spec trigger, and there's no comparison.
None at all.
That one's a component trigger as well, right? Yeah, so it's not. That's a component. Mil-spec is a component, but the quality in that one, as opposed to just the production of this one, is astoundingly different.
It really is.
And it makes it more enjoyable overall.
It does.
If you can hit what you're shooting at, and you don't feel like you're pulling on like a semi truck to get it to go off.
The difference between 4.5 pounds and like 7 to 8 pounds.
Yeah, exactly.
It matters.
Yeah, and don't. We were talking about internet research. Don't go clipping the ears off your springs to make it lighter. JP Enterprises makes some great lightweight springs that you can put on your mil-spec trigger to lighten the pull. Don't go clipping things.
Don't cut things that don't need to be cut. That's a bad idea.
That's that internet gunsmithing for you. Stay tuned.
So after trigger, barrel, bolt carrier group, and obviously this applies to building or replacing parts.
Right.
Like if you were to get a budget gun and then you want to replace the parts that, kind of like what we talked about last week, replace the parts that are the most vital. It's the same thing for like if you're planning a build. The first thing you need to look at spending a little bit more money on if you can would be the trigger, then the barrel, then the bolt carrier group. But after the big three, like where do you go from there? Let's say you've got some extra cash to blow. What are the next? What are your recommendations for the next things to upgrade?
So next things to upgrade, probably I would go with optic. Or whatever, if we're including that in this process. If we're just talking about the bare bones gun,
probably just the bare bones.
Okay, we're talking about the bare bones gun
because I think we should do a whole thing on optics.
All right,
I think that'd be that'd be a good thing to do.
That. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so if we're just going with just the bare bones gun, I would upgrade the charging handle next because this is aggravating. And you don't realize until you get a better charging handle how much these mil-spec ones suck.
It makes such a big difference having, just ambi by itself.
Yeah,
that's going to be really loud on YouTube. Having an ambidextrous charging handle and then getting a good ambi charging handle.
Yeah,
it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, and this is not ergonomic. If you happen to have gloves on, it actually doesn't make it any easier to pull back.
Good luck with gloves on a true mil-spec charging handle.
Ridiculous. And if you need to keep one hand on and try to, it's bad. So don't upgrade the charging handle next, in my opinion. Beyond that, I probably would go with furniture next, as far as the grip and the stock. I don't know how much time you've spent with just an A2 grip, but those are not fun.
No, and actually, I'm glad that you brought that up because you have the MOE. I've got a B5 Systems on mine. I think yours is the A2 angle.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, this is the A2 angle.
Whereas this one is the more pistol angle, which I like this, but I know there's a lot of people who like the more A2 angle.
Right.
It feels more comfortable to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I tend to like the A2 angle, but as far as the A2 grip itself, not a fan.
It's horrible.
It's awful. Yeah. That's another thing about people like to talk about, the military has a contract with this or they use that or whatever. It's the military is going to buy the cheapest stuff for them.
Right.
And then it's going to be remarketed to the civilian market for more expensive.
A lot more expensive.
So mil-spec is not always the best. You can obviously read and talk to people that have used this in an actual, their field of work.
Right.
But
direct action guys.
Yeah, direct action guys. Yeah. But if you're just talking about every U.S. Army soldier is issued a pair of boots and a canteen.
There's a reason they're all issued the same thing.
Right.
And if you have an infantryman friend, just ask them what
how
they think about mil-spec parts.
Yeah. So anyway, beyond that, handguard would probably be last on my list, just because even with this cheap kind of configuration, there's a lot you can do. Before that, I also, something to think about that is hidden away is the gas block. That's another thing to consider upgrading. And only Only if you are planning on like tuning how your rifle shoots to specific ammunition and or shooting it suppressed. Otherwise, a gas block is pretty much a gas block. The gas hits it and it shoots it back the other way. But if you're planning on like suppressing or fine tuning to a certain ammo, then the gas block could be considered. But other than that, just let it eat.
Right. Let it do its job.
Do its job. Just sitting there and being pretty.
Yeah.
So.
No, yeah, I think that's solid. And I mean, really after that, there's not a whole lot that you really could upgrade. Maybe your buffer weight and your muzzle device, but that's all personal preference. That's getting into the the weeds
right there. That's shooter's choice for sure.
Right, and you need to know what you like before you upgrade stuff like your buffer springs, your buffer weight.
Right. Yeah.
Really, even like you mentioned, the gas block. Like that's the last one of the last things that I would touch.
Yeah.
Personally, as well.
Yeah, like I said, unless you have like a specific purpose, and then by that point, like you said, you're into the weeds then.
Right. You already know exactly what you want.
Yeah, you know where you're going, what you're doing.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, actually, you know what? Something else that I didn't think about until just now. Also, your safety selector.
Yeah.
That's something else that you could upgrade. Yeah. It's also super cheap.
Yeah.
Well, it can be. It can be super cheap.
Yeah, the safety selector for sure is. It's one of those things you don't know how nice having an ambi safety selector is until like you've used one and then you go back to not having one, because you can't just like flick it on and off with that thumb, but it's nice to get the finger in there sometimes.
It is. Yeah, for sure. And there's so many different types of safety selector switches out there. Got the like ones that'll only do a 45-degree throw. Which is also kind of nice, especially if you're more high speed.
Yeah.
Or wannabe.
Wannabe, yeah.
Wannabe.
I need a T-shirt that says wannabe.
Yeah. I'm gonna start wearing that. But yeah, safety selector switch is another thing.
Yeah, and then after that, I mean, sky's the limit on slings and QD mounts and all that stuff. That's in the weeds later.
Yeah. I mean, that's like you're really getting into furniture, which is where you can drop some big bucks.
Money.
My wife doesn't need to watch this episode.
Yeah. Censor it.
Yeah, we're going to censor this one. But yeah, and just like one last thing on my mind too is obviously your trigger, barrel, bolt carrier group are going to be a little bit more expensive. And those are the more important things to upgrade first. Charging handle will be mildly expensive depending on what company you go with. But furniture is really not, or at least it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, no. And I was honestly, because B5 systems, I was looking, I had somebody that wanted a Magpul PRS stock on their AR-10, and I was looking for that, and it was one of those times it was out of stock everywhere. And I found a B5 systems that was like almost identical. Like there was obviously slight differences, but it was way less expensive. And when I got it in, like I feel like I like it better than the Magpul. I think it's Magpul. But like, so yeah, B5 is great, and it doesn't really break the bank.
Right.
So,
I think this was like $20.
Yeah.
And that's regular priced, not even on sale.
Not even on sale.
So, who doesn't have $20 lying around?
Yeah, well, I mean...
Well, actually, I say that.
What day of the month is it?
But yeah, that's all I got for questions. So guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll come back next week with more questions.
No. Adios.
And like, subscribe, share, maybe.
Share even.
Comment.
Comment below.
Yeah, why not? It takes like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Just comment a smiley face.
Or sunglasses or something.
Or sunglasses if
Water
you're feeling
gun.
really fancy.
Hey.
But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys.